morning. All of you who brave the heat, and I'm grateful for little things or maybe big things today like air conditioning. So today, last week I started You Are the Hero of Your Own Life. And I looked at the aspect of every hero story, the parts of the story, and how every narrative speaks to us, the power of story, for us to lose ourselves in the story and to seek the message that it personally gives us, or we feel, because everything is speaking to us. And I also shared that we would be going back and forth between famous DC, Marvel, Hollywood TV superheroes and heroines, and the heroes and heroines of the Bible. So this week I start off with Superman, who is one of the first famous superheroes. And he was the inspiration behind Superman, came to these two gentlemen, Jerry Siegel and Joseph Schuster. And it came to them when they were teenagers. They both had a passion and a love for comics. And other things that they shared was that both of their parents had emigrated to the United States. In the case with Joe, first to Canada, then to Ohio, which is where he met Jerry. But both of their parents were they are of Jewish descent, and so they sought refuge coming to the United States because of anti-Semitism that they were experiencing. And so here they were. There's a lot of myth around the creation of Superman. Many believe that they were trying to create this superhero story to impress girls because they were kind of geeky. And they thought that, if they become famous comic book writers, maybe they'll get the date that they always wanted. But as you do a little bit of research, much more was behind the inspiration of the story Superman and the character of Superman. For one, Jerry's father was murdered in 1932. It was a time where we were experiencing the Depression in the United States, and robberies were on the rise. And so that horrific experience really touched Jerry's life. As a matter of fact, an article that appeared in a local newspaper the day after that killing talked about, in these desperate days, we all need the help of heroes or vigilantes. And that article was signed by a writer, and his name was A.L. Luthor. So we see the character of Lex Luthor, the inspiration for that. And then also, Krypton, when Superman was born on the planet of Krypton, he was given the name Kal-El. And in Hebrew, El is the name for Yahweh. It's another name for God. And when you put the two words together, Kal-El is the symbolism of the voice of God that we're all asked to seek, right? We all ask that question, who am I? And so that wisdom came from within. And also, this Superman comic was first published in Action Comics in 1939, which was the start of World War II, where besides anti-Semitism, hatred against Jews, genocides against Jews was on the rise and on the start. And having that having that connection was something that also informed them. And we see that their Hebrew roots also, besides the name for Superman, if we look at the symbol S that we see appear on Superman, and we see in the movie, it says, this is not S for Superman, it is the symbol of hope. And on the right side, there's belief that their inspiration came from the 12th Hebrew letter, which is Lamed. And if you look at the biblical character Moses, often not only Moses, but other prophets in the Bible are seen with an S kind of shaped curve, right? And their inspiration, there's a lot of similarities between Moses in the Bible and Superman. They both were sent off to be saved. They didn't come from this world. Do we not question our identity ourselves? Who am I, right? And also, the super powers, or the courageous strength and courage of Moses to lead his people out of bondage, which we can see the parallel happening to the Jewish population, the handicapped population, and so on and so on. And so it was that call and that inspiration that led them into the inspiration of Superman. And so as we go through this series, I want you to know that many of the superheroes and heroines, whether it's from the Bible or whether it is from Hollywood or TV, all share similar qualities and teach a similar lesson, right? They all have incredible strength. They all rise in the face of challenges to fight injustice, try to reach out to help the little people, or people who are in need. But I would like to focus, as I go through each figure, on certain qualities that I'll highlight. And this morning I'm going to play a short clip from The Man of Steel. And I'm going to highlight three things that come out in this short clip. The question, who am I? Number two, what is really strength? What is really inner strength? We talk about it a lot here, but it will be nice to see it showcased here as we reach deeper. And then lastly, that desire to help our neighbor, to be that good Samaritan. So that will be the focus for this morning. So I want to focus on a couple of things there. First is, who am I? So here, Clark Kent, aka Superman, same merger, does this incredible, selfless, heroic act of saving the lives of many peers. And his first reaction of his dad is, although it's well-intentioned, which is one of fear, protecting his son, you have to keep this part of yourself a secret. How do we do that? We keep it a secret from ourselves, and we keep it a secret from one another. And how does that happen? Charles Fillmore, mystic, co-creator of Unity, said you must know the who and the what of you. The who is our personality self. It is our human self, the conditioned self. The roles we take on, the personality we take on to fit. Who our parents say we should be, who our teachers say we should be, who our politicians say we should be, in order to get ahead. And who our maybe religious leaders say we should be. And then slowly, we keep our true, authentic essence, not only a secret to the world, but to ourselves. We fall asleep. We fall into that fear that if I step into my greatness, I won't exist anymore. Every man for himself. As Clark spoke those words, what was I supposed to do? Let them die? How often do we turn our backs on people in need that are right before us? Now, I'm not saying that we should listen to the news cycle every day, but some of us think it's not spiritual to find out what's going on in the world. Now, if you go to a place of fear about it, or if you use it as a way to separate yourself from the truth of you and to show up in a way that is not your authentic, divine, powerful self, well then yes. But if we are truly our brothers and sisters keepers, we must remain awake to the truth of me, to the truth of you. And so we see within the Superman story, Clark Kent and Superman. Same person. Our alter ego. Our humanity, our divinity. And isn't it amazing that a pair of glasses, people don't know that it's Superman? Like if you watch some of the movies, and like Clark loses his glasses and he's all like, whoa. And he puts them on, and it's like, I guess it's comic relief. And so is my strength. Right? It's like we dabble between this. We need to embrace them both. But a lot of times, and this also is the symbolism of playing small, right? Our personality self versus our divinity, our greatness, our grandiosity, egoic grandiosity versus what does it mean to be really spiritually great and centered? It is not of this world how we know that. And those glasses also go back to that line, you have to keep this part of yourself a secret. Think about it. Well, in the business world, this is how you have to show up. And so we suit up not just our clothes, but our personality to fit it. Right? We wear our team jerseys, not just for football guys, but we put a D or an R on our jerseys. And then we act a certain way with our politics. And then we're told a spiritual leader or a minister shouldn't talk about politics up on the platform. Guys, that is living a life of separation. If our spirituality, the words that the master teacher taught us, I have not come to abolish the law, I've come to fulfill it, means that I must live into the spiritual law in all my affairs. And now more than ever, we are the heroes and heroines we are looking for, not only for ourselves, but this world.
Amen.
Amen.
There is an awakening happening. There's discomfort happening. Don't turn your eyes away. And many of you here do that. And many of you do it so boldly and beautifully. So as long as you will have me as minister, I will talk about what's going on in the world because I don't believe in separation. I do. Closer. Maybe you're wearing the jersey and you're taking it personally. Because I don't care if it's a D or an R, if it's out of spiritual congruence with spiritual law and who we came here to be, I will speak to it. We must live affairs, because otherwise we are wearing the costume. We are wearing those glasses and thinking we can hide. I want to look at what does it really mean to have strength, right? We see Superman saving them, and we focus on the brute strength that Superman exhibited as Clark Kent, as a young boy. But if we go down to spiritual truth, he placed his faith in his greatness. He placed his faith in knowing that I am here not only for my own. He could have just swam away, saved himself. In moments before, we saw him being bullied. And that is symbolic to all of those things in your life that tell you you're not enough. And he chose again, cloaked in faith and true strength. He showed up, not just for himself, but for other people. The words out of the mother's mouth was, it was an act of God. It was divine providence. Well, my friends, spiritual principle in action is action within us. We sung this morning, I am the hands, I am the feet, I am the voice. We are God in action. And everything we do matters. It is not meant to be hidden. And the true meaning of divine providence is miracle. And in the Course of Miracle, it states that a miracle is when we shift from a state of consciousness of fear into a state of consciousness of love. He was being bullied. There was a lot of fear going on. There was a lot of packing going on. But he chose again. He chose again. And it also means the miracle of stepping out of our smallness or what society says who and what we should be to please them instead of our authentic greatness. It is stepping away from that smallness into our divine greatness. And as we look at really what spiritual strength is, yes, from our five senses, from our physicality, we are mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. We need physical strength. But it's much deeper. The act that Clark Kent did. Do we not have heroes among us? The 3 soldiers in France that came to the rescue. On that train, the firefighters on 9/11 who walked into a burning building. A son or daughter who quits their job because they want to take care of their ailing parent. Those are heroes and heroines. And it is inner strength. Our true inner emotional and spiritual strength is to be courageous, to be resilient, to persevere, to stay the course, to triumph over challenges. I wonder what resilience the Central Park 4, 5 had to endure. To be accused falsely of a crime and to be jailed. I wonder what kind of spiritual strength those families needed to have. I wonder what kind of strength it must be for any family to escape and to bring their family to a better living condition because they fear death. And it is the same strength and endurance that we have to keep on keeping on through mental and physical illness. It is that same inner strength and endurance we must cloak ourselves in to finish a degree, or a certain training, or to overcome an image of us or belief of us that doesn't serve us. And who masterfully exhibited that? One of the most beloved Superman was Christopher Reeve. He was easy on the eye, but I really fell in love with him even more deeply after his accident, his horse riding accident. You see, because when we say to triumph, to overcome, it may not mean that our physical circumstances change. For he triumphed it. He still experienced paralysis. But nevertheless, he had a choice of who he was going to be. He wrote about hope. He appeared on countless talk shows. He lobbied Congress to do stem cell research on those who are afflicted with spinal cord injury. He didn't choose to be a victim. He didn't choose to live in solitude, licking his wounds, although it would probably be really hard to have that kind of strength and courage, would you not say? And lastly, we find out the last lesson is looking at the power of the Good Samaritan. In Luke 20, in chapter 10, 25, we hear these words. Just then a lawyer stood to test Jesus. Teacher, he said, what must I do to inherit eternal life? He said to him, what is written in the law? He answered, you shall love God. You should love God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your strength and with all of your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. But wanting to justify himself, he said, Jesus, and who is my neighbor? And Jesus replied, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into hands of robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now, by chance, a priest was going down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came near him, and when he saw him, he was moved with compassion. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them, and then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay you the cost of whatever it was to care for him. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? He said, the one who showed compassion and mercy. And Jesus said to him, go and do likewise. So we look at the metaphysical interpretation here. We look at Jericho as a state of consciousness of separation, where we are in fear, where our mind is plagued with the me, and one worry and one fear after the other. And Jerusalem represents that higher state of consciousness that is aligned in spiritual truth. And so, from which consciousness will we serve? And we see both the priest and the Levite walking by. It's not the job of a religious leader to take care of this unclean person, because the Samaritan race back in the historical days of when this parable was written, the Jewish people saw the Samaritans as an unclean group. Who's unclean in our world? Is it the Muslims? Is it African American? Is it men? Is it women? Is it the immigrants from Mexico? Is it your next door neighbor who plays their music too loud? Who are we asked to show up? And sometimes it may not be easy, but it is a spiritual law that we must live into. And so as I close this day, I ask yourself, who are you? How often do you ask yourself, am I living my greatness? Or am I living a personality self, the way somebody told me I should behave? And then ask yourself, what's one thing I can do this day to step into my greatness? Where am I needing to call forth inner strength, courage, and resilience to stay the course even though it is hard? And where, my friends, are you asked to be a good Samaritan? So I close with this last slide to support what Donna said as 10% of our collection. I would like to tie in what the topic is about to a way that we can help. And right now is through collection. And I would love at some point for us to be the hands and feet. Not that finances aren't great, but to be the hands and feet. To be good Samaritans. And I'm open to all your ideas. Have a blessed week, and don't forget to wear your cape.